What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you my impressions of Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning after playing it for the first time. That said, I never played the original either, which is kind of the point of making a video like this. But as most people are aware, as I am the one who is pretty late to the party here, Reckoning was originally released in 2012. The studio that released it went under shortly after. It did actually receive some DLC from its publisher, EA. And in 2018, the rights for the game were bought after it kind of changed hands a few times due to the legal situation. But in 2018, it wound up with THQ Nordic, who then, of course, released Re-Reckoning as a remaster. Now, as I mentioned, this is just a game I had never played. It always looked kind of cool, and I figured with the Re-Reckoning version out, and finally finding some time to actually play the thing, combined with the fact that they're actually supposed to be putting out a new DLC for it here before too terribly long, I figured now is as good a time as any to talk about it. And while so far I am enjoying the game, I want to start this off by talking about the fact that I play CRPGs a ton. So if this just happens to be the first video of mine you watch, most of what I play are CRPGs, which are really all about building your character and also making choices with consequence to the story. So my first note for Kingdoms of Amalur is outside of customizing your character, there's not really much in the way of choice, in my opinion. There's the story, of course, but it's fairly on rails. And while plenty of RPG games do that kind of thing, pretty much all the customization is around your actual character. And that's mostly done by picking one of 4 races, which the races themselves and character creation add more customization than I was expecting. That said, it's my understanding that at one point this was intended to be an MMO, so I guess it kind of makes sense there. The customization centering around combat especially is pretty good, actually. I can't really complain about it. It's got the 3 trees of might, finesse, sorcery, and then every level you get 3 points to put into one of those, and then mixing and matching them can unlock destinies for you, which are basically just selections of one of the combinations of those 3 things, or just a single one, that can unlock buffs for your character, depending on which destiny you have equipped at the time, because you can just interchange them. Combine that with all of the weapons and the reckoning system, which allows you to do just crazy cool combos and stuff that actually feel really good to play around with. The combat itself is easily the best part of the game. It's pretty fast-paced, there's a lot of ways to approach it, there's a stealth system, it's a lot of fun. Unfortunately, the counterpoint to that I kind of want to put in this video is that the rest of the game feels a little shallow. Like they have this skill system, except most of the skills feel a little pigeonholed in, honestly. Like, stealth almost entirely just reduces detection radius, which, like, okay, I just feel like maybe you could have rolled that into the finesse system. And then there's the crafting stuff, which actually feels more like what you'd expect out of skills. And then there's stuff like persuasion. Persuasion's cool, but, like, the only thing you really use it for is to keep a reward from a quest. Like, sometimes you'll get quests that send you out to go get stuff or recover artifacts, and then persuasion at the end of those quests often lets you keep it. Or persuasion might let you skip some steps in a quest here or there. But for the most part, it doesn't really seem like it does that much. And there's mercantile that'll give you better prices at vendors and stuff. And I guess it's all kind of there. And the world itself can feel a little shallow to me. That is to say, the actual exploration areas. Because most quests tend to send you into little dungeons of sorts where they actually kind of take place. And then in the outside world, there's enemies running around, sure. But pretty much all you do is kind of gather these nodes that are clearly marked on your map. And there's lore stones hanging around, I guess. It just doesn't feel like exploration is very rewarding, in my opinion, because, again, you pretty much kind of know where everything's going to be after you've played for a little while. So it doesn't really feel like running around just looking at stuff can be rewarding, at least not for me personally. That said, I'm only about 15 hours in, so I guess we'll see how it shapes up. Where I will give the game some credit on the world side of things, I do enjoy the little towns. Because in the towns, you can actually just do a lot more stuff. You know, there's the shops and things that you would expect, but you can also go around and pickpocket people, do all your crafting and stuff in town. There's usually hidden stuff to find. I'm enjoying running around the towns quite a bit, but the actual open world part, less so. Kind of goes without saying, even with the remaster. The game is on the older side, so the graphics are a bit dated. But that said, stylistically, I enjoy it overall. But kind of just give a conclusion for this impressions and kind of save stuff for the review that I will eventually get around to after 100%ing the thing. Overall, it's fun. I can see why people enjoy it. I can see why people give it pretty high praise, typically speaking. I would say, just where I play a lot of CRPGs, it can feel a little lacking in certain areas in terms of choice. But for a third-person open-world game, it does a lot of the things I think people would expect it to do, especially the combat. That said, I will give the game one thing over everything else it does, and that's the combat. The best thing this game does is the combat. It can be a little repetitive in the beginning, but once you kind of get going, kind of get variances of just what you're able to do, start getting abilities that you can use, the combat can be a lot of fun. So I'm really enjoying that part of it more than anything else, especially since, because I play so many CRPGs, which are oftentimes very tactical in how you approach things, whereas this is just, hacking people to death one way or the other. There you go, guys. Kind of my thoughts on Re-Reckoning after playing it for the first time. So hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz. But regardless of any of that, truly, just thank you so much for watching. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.